All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with the program. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's time for our lifestyle segment, but we want to talk about Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. But this time, the amendment bill that was tabled by Wajir East Member of Parliament, Eden Dowdy, sometime in last year. First reading already took place, second reading as well. And right now, we're just waiting for the third reading to be tabled in Parliament for close-by-close consideration. Then later on, it will be taken to President William Ruto for assent. But in short, it seeks to make online crime laws tougher, especially on issues of scams and fraud. But the big debate now remains whether it also gives government too much control, or it gives, power over people. It gives people power over what they can say and what they cannot say. And the question you're asking this morning is cyber justice or cyber control, Wakili? So basically, we welcome you to be part of these conversations on our social media platforms, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X, TV47 Digital. You can also call in live if you have any question for Wakili Silas Akiru, Advocate of the High Court of Kenya, will be helping us understand what the Cyber Crime Amendment Bill 2024 is all about. Karibu sana, Wakili, to Morning Cafe.
So Dida, it's a pleasure meeting you once again in the studios.
Always an honor. And let's just start with, a brief introduction in simple English, for somebody who's watching this morning, na nasikia tunasema computer misuse and cyber crime amendment bill of 2024. We understand that this is an act of 2018. But what is it trying to solve that the act in 2018 really wasn't solving at all?
The bill that was introduced by the Wajir East Member of Parliament, as you have clearly indicated, is basically seeking to make tougher laws, tougher legislations, and probably, as some may put it, it is also looking to introduce another aspect or some angles that were not captured within the Act, the 2018 Act itself. For instance, I would categorize the bill into three main aspects of legislation or regulation that it seeks to achieve. One being the introduction, some sort of, on a regulation on SIM swap.
Yes.
There is a requirement that the National Computer Coordination Committee be given powers to be able to deal with these issues of SIM swap. Number two, it is introducing legislation, or rather criminalization, of what we call fraud. When somebody calls you, somebody texts you in a manner likely to defraud you of certain sums. You've seen some of these calls from as far as prison. Somebody calls you and tells you, oh, we've closed school, your child needs ABCD.
Yeah.
It also seeks to be able to criminalize you when you call or text your friend, and that call or text may lead your friend to commit suicide. Maybe somebody somehow was undergoing some serious mental challenges, and then you go in there as a good neighbor to encourage them to just keep pushing in life. Life is never easy, but then somehow your advisory doesn't work. The person proceeds to commit suicide. And then it is indicated that the text that the person received trying to encourage him or her has eventually led him to commit suicide. Then he says the bill now seeks to criminalize such acts, such calls, such text messages. And then chief among them that is so controversial that many people have really spoken of, those who have gone through this bill, is the introduction of what they term as extreme religious and cultic practices.
Yeah.
Remember, we have had a task force that was commissioned by the president to look into how the nation can regulate religion. But then you saw, if you followed through, you must have seen how massive the attendances in those social halls were. But then you see this bill did not give these religious actors, the main actors that the bill is likely to target, were not given an opportunity to be able to ventilate on this bill. And so introduction of such things, you have seen, Ms. Odida, for example, our country is somehow so galvanized and also somehow so porous, in that there are those who view Catholic, for example, I'm just giving an example, as some sort of, their practices are not carnal. And there are those who view a certain Christian grouping as not carnal. Yeah. There are those who also view Muslims are not carnal. And so, when you look at how these are going to live, coexist, these religious setups are going to coexist within the meaning of this vague, extreme religious or cultic practices. We are seeing a situation where, Ms. Odida, if Jesus decides to give you a church to practice in, or rather to preach in today, and then you make certain sentiments that are likely to injure one or two, then the masses will have the authority to arrest you and take you from this bill here, yes, Ms. Odida. So in summary, really, that is how I would summarize the entire bill.
And you've given us very key points in the petition you're talking about that is challenging the law on grounds that its wording, particularly concerning this extreme religious and cultic practices, is vague and infringes constitutional rights. This is a bill that was petitioned by lawyer Evans Dong, who's also been on this show over and over again. But we did a story right here at TV47 about, the Shakahola massacre. But then now these religious leaders were calling for, an amendment of, that of the law. That is Article 32, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which really talks about religion and the freedom of worship, basically. But now they're of the opinion that because that doesn't really explain it in broader length, then it gives people like Paul Mackenzie now the leeway to just bring in whatever is happening in Shakahola and right now Kwabinzaro. Then doesn't that law, if we petition it, if Evans Dong now takes that petition that is vague, then are we not encouraging such, extremism, the Shakahola, the Kwabinzaro?
Ms. Odida, what is important to understand here is that law needs to be specific. It needs to be clear. It needs to be unambiguous as opposed to what has been presented here. But one thing with our country is that we endlessly legislate. There are numerous laws that can deal with certain aspects of our lifestyle. For example, if I may ask you, are you aware that there is the Witchcraft Act in this country?
What does it seek to do?
The country has the Witchcraft Act that seeks to regulate uncouth practices, or rather witchcraft practices, where it really stipulates what forms of witchcraft are supposed to be looked into by the law enforcers, what forms of unpalatable lifestyles that needs to be looked into by the law enforcers, and to ensure that witchcraft is weeded out, right? We have the Terrorism Act, which has now also been mentioned in this bill, right? We have the Penal Code, which looks into the issue of murder, manslaughter, and what have you. And we have several other laws that can be galvanized and used to regulate the practices within the church. But what you see is that whenever something happens, we don't go back to look at what laws do we have to be able to regulate this. We look at what law can we create to be able to regulate this. So in the end of it, we find ourselves into conflict of law. Let me take it this way. Article 8 of our Constitution categorically states, and I would prefer to call it the shortest article in the Constitution, there shall be no state religion. Right? Now, when somebody tries to dictate allowable and non-allowable religious practices, what is this person trying to do? Is trying to come up with state-sanctioned, state-permissible religion or religious practice, whether borrowed from different angles of religion, but it will be state-sanctioned. And that will be some form of, impliedly, by implication, creating a state religion. That wherever it is a practice within the Islam, wherever it is a practice within Christianity, but so long as you have given certain fundamentals, certain principles, certain gate passes, then you are actually bordering creation of a religion acceptable by the state. Remember, there is a provision under Article 32(4) that no one shall be compelled, right, to act or engage in any act that is contrary to their belief or conscience. Right? How extreme is the extreme? Remember, extreme can be extreme high and extreme low, right? Where somebody now begins to minister in bikers, for example. Like I was seeing a clip where somebody was saying a Gen Z pastor is now ministering in biker shorts, right?
Yeah.
That is extreme low. And then there is this extreme high, for example, the extremely condemned Mackenzie style of preaching.
Yeah.
Those are extreme highs, right? So then when the law makes it as vague as this, it allows various interpretation, and including malicious interpretation. That if I am not agreeable to your style of preaching, and even if my religion needs to expand higher than your religion, then I would use this religious extremism to try and suppress your religion. Remember, somebody once put it in this way. There are aspects of today's religious practitioners where if they are the minority religion, then they begin to cry for religious tolerance. But when they become the majority religion, then they introduce the Sharia law. So the country becomes strictly a religious country where the other religions are not tolerated. And this is something that some people have taken issue with, that this bill is likely to be used in that aspect. Suppress as you bring this up, and then we introduce this set of religious practices. So it is viewed by some people, some quarters, as a backdoor reintroduction of regulation on the church, or a backdoor reintroduction of regulation of religion.
So do you agree that it infringes constitutional rights, as Evans Dong puts it?
Exactly. Exactly. I know my good friend Dong, very zealous advocate. And I know kudos for that, Mr. Dong, for taking this up to defend violation or any threat to constitutional provisions. Remember, there is the supremacy of our constitution. We have the sovereign powers, the sovereign rights of the masses, of the people of Kenya. We have everybody's duty and right to defend the Constitution. Not only those in power, but also you and I, we have the right to defend the Constitution. So it is true. There are so many articles, including Article 94 for itself, where Parliament is obliged to make laws that are within the confines of the Constitution. Article 2(4) of the Constitution, that any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null. So where we want to legislate, or rather introduce the legislation of laws that are going to outrightly infringe on the practice of religion, on the non-derogable rights of citizens, then such kind of a law needs to be looked at by the guardians of the rule of law, that is the courts. They need to take an eye on it and weigh it as against the Constitution. Is it measurable? Is it at par with the provisions of the Constitution? Is it low with the... because you know, Ms. Odida, as I wrap up this point, we understand that religious regulation is a motive. In fact, the European countries tried to regulate religion, and it became difficult. If you can look at the clip I did on GOtv sometimes back during the advent of Shakahola, and I was saying that an attempt to regulate religion only ended up with the following. Number one, that war broke out. Because we are the readers of the Bible, where Peter rises and says and asks, then whom shall we obey? You or God? Understand? And automatically a practitioner will say, I'd rather obey God than. So we are giving a law that is likely to be subject to disobedience. And what does that mean? There are going to be several arrests, several imprisonments to people who have decided to defy the law on the basis of their faith, on the basis of their belief, on the basis of their conscience. And number two, it ended up, the attempt to regulate religion, ended up with two peace treaties. The Peace of Westphalia and the Peace of Munster. That whatever you worship, let us not interfere. Worship your shoe, let me worship my cow. You understand? So let us not do what? Interfere. And this is what we are trying to do what? When you look at those who have sustained regulation of religion, then we have seen people are being hanged on live TV because they are broken religious laws. Because to this person, he feels that your religion really has some little or no mishaps. So you can't force me into that religion. So they end up beginning to practice religion in secrecy. You understand? And then when now religious enforcers in religious countries find them, then the next thing you see what? Arrests and murders. Some are being cut. Yeah. These are things we see on live TV for religious advancements, right? So we are looking at a scenario where the government of the Republic of Kenya, Parliament, is slowly, through backdoor, introducing regulation on religion. Because the open door regulation, where Reverend Musimi Mutava was tasked by the president to come up with a means of regulating the church, received such backlash that the president had to shelve that regulation. So because they failed, or rather they paused on that aspect, Now they're trying to bring it in, because that phrase, Mr. Leader, believe me you, encompasses everything the political class wanted in that Musimi Mutava regulation.
Yeah, but even as you say that the government is trying to bring it through the back door, you know, is it religion alone that the government is trying to bring through the back door, as you put it, you know, using this amendment bill of 2024? Would you say there's something else, or, you know, it's just still religion? But even as you think about that, let's take a very short break. You're coming back with that point.
All right.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it, or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home, do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see them.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. This morning we're talking about Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill of 2024. Its implications to you as the Kenyan Mwananchi. And before we went on that very short break, Wakili Silas, we were talking about, you were telling us that this could be a plan by the government to introduce religious regulations through the back door. But my question was now based on, is it only matters religion that you're seeing that this bill is trying to come in through the back door? Or is there something else that Kenyans, we are not seeing at the moment? This bill is already, and it's going on, it's in third reading, which then now goes for presidential assent. Basically, almost iko karibu kuisha. We're not talking about the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill of 2024.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you know, when you begin to regulate religion, that becomes seriously emotive. However, as you put it, it is indeed true that there are other aspects that the bill seeks to regulate, which also are vague. For example, if you read the article by Article 19, one of the organizations as the constitutional defenders in our country, they take issue with the SIM swap, the law as it has been coined, because it's also not definitive enough. It is not reasonable in terms of its legislative text. It's not, it doesn't encompass the approach of legality within its definitive text. And so you realize that I get arrested, for example, on suspicion, and then at the gate entrance to the police station, I'm being told that my phone is gone. Kindly allow me put my SIM card into your SIM card so that I can call the OCS. Then the next thing you see, you're being booked for swapping somebody's SIM card at the police gate.
Yeah.
You understand? So that is what they're calling for, definitive legislation. The law has to be clear and ambiguous. The law has to be easily understood. As the committee report puts it, user-friendly. The law has to be user-friendly. Just like we understand our Constitution. Everybody understands the Constitution. In fact, the Constitution is one that is least taught in law school because it is a skeletal statute. It is the parent statute. It is the statute from which all laws stem from. But you understand if somebody tells you there shall be no state religion, what explanation do you need from there? Now, when somebody tells you extreme religious, or rather likely to cause them to commit suicide, honestly, if I do your text and maybe you've just sought your leave from workplace, that's been so extraneous, and then you're told, no, we have back-to-back streaming, please take your leave in 2 months' time. We plead with you. And then this thing takes you down. It weighs you down, coupled with maybe relationship lifestyle, understand? Yes, they've done things to you. And then you're like, no, this life, I don't see anything that is meaningful. And then you make that post, for example, like so many do post, now inaisha. And then you're like, no, this is my good friend. Let me go and let me call her and encourage her. So you make the call. And then somehow this person doesn't view your call as helpful, as meaningful. After your call immediately, he proceeds to end up to Sayun, as they say. Then the vague bill indicates that text or call that is likely to cause them to commit suicide is going to be criminalized. Don't you see how vague, how ambiguous, how unclear, and how unfriendly this piece of legislation is?
Yeah, because now the question will be, how does then court gather evidence for such a text or call? I texted somebody and told them, please don't go, we still need you. Then how do you gather evidence and say that whatever I told so-and-so has led him or her to commit suicide?
You can see, for example, I am really here to ventilate on the law itself, but yourself as a journalist, you're able to pick up one or two vagueness from this particular piece of legislation. How many Kenyans outside there have realized how vague this piece of legislation is? And then, all those readings that you see, they are marred in between numerous seriously public interest agenda in Parliament. So this goes without proper publicization. Well, it was published on the Kenya Gazette, because that was a special issue, Gazette Supplement number 156 of 2024, National Assembly Bills number 41. That I can confirm, on 9th of August 2024. There was the invitation on 18th of February 2025, but there is publicization, publishing and publicizing to allow the masses to be aware there is some legislation that is coming up here. We need your input. Publicization is now what the task force on regulating religious practices did, where there were social halls meetings, there were gatherings, there were chances given to Kenyans to give their views. You remember the famous, the people may.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
So this person got wind of an intended amendment, an intended legislation, an intended enactment. And then they went to do what? Now, when you look at the people who attended the so-called public participation, the Ministry of Information, some association of residential something, and ideally actors within government. That's what I would call them. Huh? But you would not see any memoranda from the mainstream churches, from the citizens, from tech firms, because websites are going to be closed here from this bill here.
Yeah.
That if your website is promoting whatever they term as
Online crime.
Then it's going to be shut down. And of course, we've seen proposal like, no, don't shut the totality. Make it a targeted regulation. Target the content, and then make the content unavailable, inaccessible. Either that particular web page. Remember, TV47, somebody may come into your show and make certain comments, which maybe the editors, the concerned parties, it bypassed them. And then this goes into your website, right? But that doesn't invalidate the totality of the beautiful content by TV47. So some people are saying, target the particular content, make it inaccessible, make it unavailable, or even require deletion, right? As opposed to, we go through the entirety of the internet, and then we find, this person has made this content, let's pull down the entire, and then the access to information. Constitutional provision. They are entitled to information, the citizens. Now you deny them information that originally used to be in this particular blogger's posts, right? We remember Njeri's case?
Yes.
Yeah?
With the Finance Bill 2025?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah? So now, Kenyans were able to go into that website to learn one or two. But now, by government shutting the website, the people are denied access to what?
Freedom of expression.
Yes. So Njeri's freedom of expression and the people's access to information from Njeri's website, you understand? From TV47. So there is the right to access to information and then freedom of expression. So by all means, by all angles, religious-wise, tech-wise, just societal living, this bill is an affront, a violation, and a confrontation or a threat to the Constitution of Kenya.
But now that it's going into its third reading, Wakili, what do Kenyans now have to say about it? Right now, it's going to a committee of the whole House for close-by-close consideration. Public participation, as you say, wasn't done enough, especially from, the online people, citizens themselves. A lot of people don't actually know about the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill of 2024. They don't know when it was tabled, by who, when the first reading happened, the second reading happened, passed by many. So what do we as Kenyans have now on this bill as it goes into its third reading?
We understand that Parliament processes can only be injuncted, or rather can only be injunct on extremely high level grounds. So just as you put it, now that this thing is towards its final stage, we are looking at 4 principal actors here. And I want to face your camera as I speak to my fellow Kenyans. Number 1, members of parliament, the National Assembly, you have a duty to give us a clear, unambiguous, and user-friendly law. Reject the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill 2024. Number 2, our judiciary, they are called upon by Article 159 to advance justice, to advance the rule of law. When such petitions come to you, ensure that no innocent Kenyans go to jail on account of vague, unclear, and unfriendly laws. Number 3, I look at Mr. President. Eventually, this bill will come to your desk. Mr. President, do not assent to this bill if passed by Parliament. Take it back to them, let them amend it properly, and where possible, let them give the religious leaders, religious actors, religious organizations an opportunity to ventilate on this small part they are introducing that's likely to regulate churches or religion as a whole.
Very powerful, Wakili. And on our screen, we're talking about cyber justice or cyber control. Do you believe that the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill is meant to regulate or suppress? Where do you stand with this?
My stand, from the beginning,
Yeah.
you understand that the cybercrimes, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill 2024 is a tool for control. It's not a tool for justice. Because we have just ventilated here that many religious organizations are likely to be shut.
Yeah.
Many religious actors are likely to be imprisoned, or rather levied hefty fines. Many Kenyans are likely to be imprisoned for just comforting your neighbor who is likely to lose his life. Many Kenyans are likely to go into prison for assisting. Put your SIM card here, call him. Oh, he swapped. Eh? And when the IMEIs are checked, the tech organization check, they realize that indeed, Ms. Odinda's SIM card really wasn't a Kiro's phone. So there is that aspect. These ambiguities are literally to allow the government to be able to sanction anything and everything Kenyans do in the tech space. The authority, without notice, without hearing, the bill doesn't give the NCA4 authority to requisition, to even give notice. Notice is part and parcel of our laws. You are hereby given 3 days to pull down that content, or else we will deactivate your website.
Yeah.
That is not there. So we call upon you to present us with the evidence as to why you believe your content needs to remain in the website. That is a right of fair hearing, Article 50 of our Constitution. But then they're saying they'll just be roaming around the internet. If they look and find any website that is likely to cause somebody to commit suicide or propagates whatever they may term us, remember, this unfettered authority, government usually uses it on targeted front. If they realize that there is an individual they need to properly sanction, that is where they go. Our approaches to policy enforcement in this country is usually post-offense. There are no proper investigative channels. It is usually post-offense. You realize that when somebody makes a mistake, that is when they go to, oh, who is the mother, who is the father, oh, he lied on his documents here, he was not. We had one governor whose academics were being queried after he vied. You see that? Yeah. So it is usually targeted. When we realize that we want to target, we've seen lawyers, serious lawyers, they've gone up to the Kenya School of Law, practiced law and graduated. Then while they are practicing, that is when you're being told, oh, he missed some missing mark in the university. You understand some of these things. Yeah. And then he's being told, no, he's not a lawyer. Understand? That is how our country is. So the moment they realize that, let us target all bullets, all guns on this particular individual, then that is when you will hear the NC4 have looked into Akiro's website, and it is a candidate for shutting down. And Akiro won't be given time to even put in a defense. He won't be given notice to be able to make the rectification. Yeah. No, once they confirm that it is a candidate for putting down, it will go down. These are arbitrary actions that must not be willed by any state organ. Let courts be able to query evidence and make decision. And remember, the website, though public, the internal aspects of that website, the programs, the source codes, those are my private property. So they need a warrant to search. Understand? A warrant to search.
Now that you bring in the NC4, the National Computer and Cybercrimes Coordination Committee, which has been given, the powers to just block the sites, but legally speaking, is it okay for an executive body like that to shut down sites without court's approval or without judges' approval, as this amendment bill now puts it?
Exactly. The way I was telling you, is it cyber justice or cyber control? It's indeed control, because you can't give the NCA4 such amount of power. They will misuse it. Our only guardians of the rule of law have been the courts. And the courts have been the guardians of the rule of law on account that they query evidence from both sides. When you give a state actor, look at, for example, the Data Protection Commissioner. Yeah. He is denied unilateral decisions, right? If you complain of your data having been infringed by me, you have to complain. I have to bring in my evidence. You bring your evidence, then the data commissioner will make a decision. That is sort of a court. And if this NC4, the proponents of this bill wanted them to have these decisive powers, then they would have given an opportunity for evidence to be queried. Query the evidence, right? Yeah. So that we see that justice is being served. Understand? So I'll take you back into politics a little bit. A few years ago, everybody was against the then deputy president. But when we looked at the process through which he was taken to be ousted, there was a feeling in Kenyans' hearts that the process wasn't right. Yeah. So that propelled quite a number to be his fans. Because however bad you may be, you must be given a fair hearing. So that the people can have confidence in their government, that everything the government is doing is actually resonating with let me tell you today, this is how humans, I think, are wired. A murderer today can be sympathized with if the process is not fair. And a murderer will be condemned if the process is fair and he has been found guilty. So this aspect of fair hearing, it is not just about, let me hear you. It is about creating closure in the hearts of the citizens. They be able to follow through and realize, no, what has been done here is justice. But when you just come up, poop, it's gone. It was there yesterday, this morning is not there. They will remain querying. They will remain questioning. What's the procedure? What is the process? How did you do it? And they will remain faulting the government. And so, the constitutional provision for the right to fair hearing is not a statute in our constitution. NCA4 cannot be given such amount of power. Let the power be taken back to court. Like I said, maybe the user interface of my website is a public property. It is there, it's accessible by everybody. For you to shut down, you will need to go to the source codes. You understand? You will need to click certain buttons. Now, these are private property belonging to the owner of those websites. And for you to query into private property, the right to property, is that you need a warrant. Have they been given authority to seek warrants from court? No. So that's what I'm saying. And like I faced the camera and said, by all angles, by all means, by all aspects, by all principles known in law for legislation, this bill is dangerous.
And somebody might ask now, what is the difference between this law now and the Data Protection Act? Because looking at it, they all speaks about the personal information online. So what is the difference?
You brought me at a very wonderful angle. Remember when I began, I said that our legislative approaches are devoid of factual basis of what we do. You remember the people we elect? We saw the MCS from Kericho. Yeah? They will enact a law today, this morning. In the afternoon, they've forgotten they enacted that law. You understand? So we continue enacting and enacting to the extent that we create a web of conflict of laws. Several pieces of legislation that are conflicting with each other. Remember, these are things that can be captured within the Witchcraft Act, for example, I said. We can capture some of these things within the Penal Code. We can capture some of these things within the information, the Kenya Information Communication Authority regulations and the acts. We can capture these things within the Data Protection Act. We can capture these things through several other pieces of legislation. You understand? So, because they did not query into the existence and the content of some of the existing laws, they end up coming up with new laws.
Right.
So then that is where now the courts come in, you understand? Because now the court will have to look at which act to be given priority. Some of them are going to be knocked down. Like this one, for example. I'm assuring you.
You foresee that?
I foresee this bill is good. The Amendment Act is going to be knocked down. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Wakili Silas Sekuru, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, talking to us about the implications of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill of 2024. This is a bill that was tabled by Wajir East Member of Parliament Eden Daudi. It's currently has undergone its second reading and has been approved by Parliament. It's then expected to proceed to the third reading for clause-by-clause consideration by the House Committee. Asante sana for making time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Odida. Always happy to meeting you in the studios.
All right, awesome. That's it. You're watching Morning Cafe. Stay with us. My name is Anne Odida.